Hey, what's going on, guys? Alex here with TFL Bike, and I have some exciting news today from Livewire. We made a video last week about some rumors and speculation we had on Livewire's new bike, and today we have all the info on it. So I'm going to run through all the details, we'll go through the design, let's jump right into it. So this new bike, as we expected, is called the S2 Del Mar, and then the LE stands for Launch Edition. There's two versions of this bike, the production version and the Launch Edition. So let's jump into the production version, and at the end of the video, I'll explain to you what the Launch Edition is all about. So let's just start out with the design, because it's a pretty cool looking bike. Like we expected, it has that flat track look to it, and Livewire, or Harley, is calling this a street tracker, which I think is a pretty fitting name for it. This is the first bike in the Livewire lineup to get this S2 Arrow architecture. So basically what that means is it combines the battery, the motor, the charging system, all the computers. It's all kind of combined into one unit. That's going to be scalable, so Harley can use, or Livewire can use, the same architecture across a number of different bikes. And that's where the S2 part of the name comes in. So the S2 Del Mar is the flat tracking bike, and I think later down the line we'll probably see some other S2 bikes with this same setup that are, you know, different styles of motorcycles. So maybe an S2 Cruiser or an S2 street bike or whatever it might be. But the S2 is the architecture, and the Del Mar is the flat tracker. And as you can see, the architecture is pretty cool. All of those components are combined into one unit. The battery is actually a stressed member of the bike. So the battery, you can see, kind of connects to the headstock up there, and then the swing arm connects to the lower end of the battery. So you don't have like a traditional frame going through. Instead, the battery kind of acts as your frame, which is pretty cool, pretty clever. So yeah, that's a little rundown on the S2 architecture that, again, we're probably going to be seeing making its way into other bikes within the Livewire lineup. Now let's jump into the specs on this specific bike, the Del Mar. So a lot of these numbers that Livewire put out today are target numbers. So they're not exact figures. These are the numbers that Livewire is targeting when this bike actually makes it to the market. So they're targeting 80 horsepower, and they say this bike will be under 440 pounds. 0 to 60 time, 3.5 seconds or less. And how that compares to the Livewire 1 that we've already done a couple videos on, that'll do 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. The acceleration on that bike was really crazy. Definitely recommend you go check out that video. But it was neck-snapping acceleration, and this 0 to 60 is only supposed to be half a second slower. So you will feel that half a second, but it's still definitely gonna be a pretty quick bike. Now, we don't know exact battery specs or anything like that yet, but Livewire said they're targeting 100 miles of city range. Again, how that compares to the Livewire 1, that gets about 146 miles of city range, about 95 miles combined. So you will be down on range with this compared to the Livewire bike that's been out for a few years already, but still 100 miles of city range. It's not amazing, but it's not terrible either. That's a fair number. Now, this is supposed to resemble a flat tracker, so you have 19-inch wheels front and back, and special tires as well. They're Dunlop DT1 tires that were made specifically for the Livewire. You can actually see the little Livewire branding on the tire itself. I've never ridden these tires, so I don't really know much about them, but they do look like they have some decent tread blocks in there. It's not really going to be an off-road tire, but they look pretty smooth for the street, and if you want to cruise down a dirt road, these tires look like they should handle that just fine. And then just talking about some of the other design bits, you have a really cool windscreen up front that kind of resembles a number plate that you would see on a flat track bike. Dirt style handlebars, just like you would find on a flat tracker as well. So on this bike, you're gonna be sitting way up high, upright riding position. You also have this pretty cool oval headlight up front, which I think just screams Harley-Davidson. I know they're trying to push the Livewire brand away from Harley and kind of make them two separate things. But that headlight does scream Harley, and I'm okay with that. I don't really see the reasoning for Harley wanting to push away from Livewire make them two separate brands. I thought it was just fine working under the same name. I'm sure they have their own reasons and have done a lot more research than I have. But I do still like that even just by the headlight, you can kind of recognize where this bike came from. You have this really flat seat with a big hump in the back, really streamlined tail section. I think it looks really good and it just screams flat track racing. It's a really cool look. That's pretty much all the details we know on this bike right now. We don't know a whole lot more besides what I just told you. We do know that they will all be assembled, both the production version and the launch edition will be assembled at Harley-Davidson's vehicle operations in York, PA. So they're gonna be assembled right here in the States, which is pretty nice. And beyond that, I can tell you pricing. Livewire said the target MSRP for this bike is $15,000, which is almost $8,000 less than the Livewire one. And that was always one of our biggest complaints with the Livewire one was the pricing. It was originally a $30,000 bike, which was just really hard to come to grips with. And then they lowered the price. It's about $23,000 now, just a couple $100 less than that, which is a lot better than $30,000, but definitely still expensive for a bike with pretty limited range. So really cool to see that the prices are continuing to go down, and I think that trend is just gonna keep on going. At least I hope it does. All right, now let's talk about the launch edition, which is actually the bike you see up on the screen right here. So the launch edition, limited to 100 units. They're only doing 100 of them. And it's mostly graphics and style that you're gaining with the launch edition version and the fact that you're gonna get the bike early before the full production version makes it to the market. So the main thing is the finish and the graphics on the tank and the number plate up front. You can see it's got this really cool almost stripe design in this gray and black. You can either get it in Jasper gray like you see behind me here, or a Comet Indigo, which is a really cool look. And these graphics and paint are all applied by hand. Livewire says it takes them 5 days to complete the process on one of these bikes, so it should be pretty detailed. I'd like to see one of these in person to kind of see what the quality is like on the paint, because I imagine if it takes 5 days, it should be pretty high quality. Also, all the bikes are serialized, so on the right-hand side of the bike, it will say that it's the launch edition and give the bike a number. So like, 52 out of 100 or whatever, so you can keep track of the bike. And yeah, it's just cool that the launch edition has a special number to go with it. And besides the special paint and the numbering on the side of the tank, there's also a unique wheel design for the launch edition as well. They're done in this gloss black finish, and Livewire says that the design of them is meant to resemble the intricate designs of circuit boards, which is a cool theme to go with this bike, although I don't really see the connection there in the wheels. It's a cool wheel design, but it doesn't remind me of a circuit board whatsoever. Maybe I'm missing something, but I'm just having a hard time seeing that come through in the wheel. Nevertheless, it definitely is a cool look. The launch edition, couple $1,000s more than the standard production version, $17,699. But like I said, they're only doing 100 of these and they already all sold out. So they sold out in 18 minutes. So if you want the launch edition, sorry, but it's gonna be hard to get your hands on. But Livewire says that the production version is gonna be coming right after the launch edition, and they're saying spring 2023 delivery for both of those bikes. So we're about a year away from seeing either of these or getting some riding time on either of these. That's a long ways away. It's about a year from now. And that's just a really long time to get excited about a motorcycle. So I'm really excited to get some seat time on one of these, but I think it might be a little while before we get there. Anyway, so there you have it, the newest electric bike in the Livewire lineup. 80 horsepower, under 440 pounds, 3.5 seconds to 0 to 60, and about 100-mile range in this flat tracker or street tracker style. I think it's a cool looking bike. I just really want to get some seat time on it. There you go. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And as always, don't forget to head on over to alltfl.com. That's where we post all the content from all 8 YouTube channels, all 4 websites, our TikTok page, and both the podcast, the Car and the Truck podcast as well. So make sure you go to alltfl.com so you don't miss anything, and we'll catch you in the next video.